right, let's see what's with the deadliest spy, Virginia Hall.
I don't have a daughter, but if I did, this is who I would want her to look up to. Today we're talking about Virginia Hall, aka the Limping Lady, probably the most effective American spy of World War II, and she managed to do that with one leg. But first, a word from our sponsors. This video is brought to you by Ridge.
I want my daughter to look up to the deadliest spy that has one leg. Okay. I gotta say, his video already starts off with a huge punch of curiosity. Like, he definitely knows how to script it in a way that makes you want to keep watching, just because of the fact that he mentioned she has one leg. And now I'm curious, like,
Ridge Wallet. If you've been on the internet in the last decade, you know what Ridge Wallet is. I'm not going to waste your time. Ridge hired me to tell you to buy your dad a Ridge Wallet for Christmas. If your dad's anything like mine, his wallet probably looks like a Gutenberg Bible and his back hurts, and nobody has ever pointed out to this poor guy that, hey, maybe your back hurts because every time you sit down, you've got a phone book underneath one butt cheek and you look like you're the Leaning Tower of Pisa inside of a chair.
Okay.
So head over to ridge.com/TFE and shop the holiday sale. You're going to save up to 30%, and when you use my link, you're also going to be automatically enrolled in a
I have no idea what Ridge is,
bundle from Ridge,
because it's not available for us.
All right, Virginia Hall, born in...
As in, like, I know what he said, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, that's not available in my country.
1906 in Baltimore. She grew up in a really wealthy family and was a complete
Don't keep your wallet in the back. Don't keep your wallet in the back pocket. What do you mean? That's literally what I've done my entire adult life. Actually, no, I've done that as a kid too. My wallet, like, I have a pair of jeans that I have from when I was young. I still wear them, and they have a hole in the back pocket. Like, you know, like at the bottom of the back pocket, there's like a hole in there now. I've dug a hole by putting the wallet in and taking it out for years.
Father absolutely loved it. He taught her how to hunt, and he completely endorsed her being not very ladylike all of the time.
Aww, what a good dad.
She was also highly intelligent, graduating from high school with ease and getting accepted into the top female colleges in the country. Her mother, on the other hand, had different plans, because immediately after high school, she expected Virginia to get married to a young man from another wealthy family in the area so they could combine their family businesses. So she gets engaged to this guy at 18 years old. Fast forward 1 year, she's 19 years old, and she keeps catching her fiance cheating on her, so she...
Bruh. Expected to keep up the image, to unite the houses, and to deal with someone that's cheating. Oh man, ladies really did have it rough back then.
She calls off the engagement and runs off to college despite her mother's wishes. She immediately attends the top 2 female colleges,
screw you, Mom.
Radcliffe and Barnard, which are the equivalent of Harvard and Columbia. She studies economics and foreign languages, deciding that she wants to become an American diplomat. She wants to live in an embassy and represent the United States of America. However, this is the 1920s, and the odds of a female landing that job are slim to none, but she wants to maximize her chances, so she learns as many foreign languages as possible. She becomes fluent in German, Italian, and French, and finishes college abroad, studying in Germany, France, and Austria. While finishing college in Europe in the late 1920s, she would bear witness to the birth of fascism and the rise of the Nazi Party. And
Jesus Christ. She definitely had a very interesting life. That being said, I feel like the whole wanted to maximize the chances is smart, but at the same time stupid, because well, I guess that's more of a lesson learned thing. No matter how much, I don't think those achievements would have been recognized at that point, just because of the fact that she was a woman.
And have a better understanding of how dangerous that ideology was.
I understand the spy now.
Of Americans. She would return home in 1929. A few months after that, the stock market would crash, the Great Depression would start, and her father, a wealthy business owner, would lose almost everything, and the increased stress would lead to him having a heart attack and dying. This feels bad, man. More determined to accomplish her goal of becoming an American diplomat, so she got a job working for the U.S. Embassy in Poland as a secretary. She worked there for several years, and every year she would apply for a promotion to become a U.S. diplomat, and every year something went wrong.
And every year they were like, "You're a woman. Your job is to be a secretary." Yes. Gotta love those days. Something went wrong. Her gender.
First year, they lost her application. The second year, her application made it through because she delivered it herself, and she was a shoo-in. She could speak 4 languages, she was a college graduate, she was highly intelligent, well-spoken, so she passed the application portion of the hiring process and had to have an in-person interview, and conveniently, they accidentally told her the wrong place and the wrong time to be, so she got disqualified again. Realizing that that embassy had it out for her and was not about to let a woman become a diplomat, she transferred to a different embassy in Turkey. So now it's 1933, she's living in Turkey, she's working as a receptionist at the embassy still, and she's just waiting for that next opportunity to
Feels
apply
bad,
to become
man.
a diplomat. One of her
Form secretary, now she's the receptionist. No wonder she became a freaking spy, man.
hobbies at this point in time is to go out hunting with the shotgun that her father had bought for her when she was a kid. It's an irregular hobby for a woman, but
You hunted with shotguns? I thought Huh? I thought you used rifles even back then. Shotgun? Damn, that's badass. Also scary.
Virginia's an irregular type of woman. So she goes out hunting with her friends one day, and they're hunting for snipes, which if you don't know is this little tiny bird. Apparently they're really hard to hit, and this is where the term sniper comes from.
Why the fudge are you using a shotgun to hunt the fucking tiny bird? What?
Regardless, at one point she has to hop over a fence. She forgot to turn the safety on her shotgun and accidentally blew her own foot off.
No, I'm so sorry for laughing, but like, that has gotta be one of the most ridiculous ways to lose your bloody foot. Especially for someone that is educated, knows a lot of languages, and is presumably smart, right? Oh, Jesus Christ. Yes. Just forgot the safety. Got the safety and just jumped over a fence and lost her leg. Yeah.
Were there and they managed to pick her up, get her to the hospital in time to save her life. While she's in the hospital recovering, she would end up getting gangrene, which is a very, very serious type of infection, especially back then in the 1930s because antibiotics weren't going to be widely used or available for another decade. And I mean, the doctors back then are basically just grunts with scalpels, so they come over to Virginia, they're like, hey, here's the deal, you're going to die, there's one chance that we can save you. Basically, my medical opinion is your leg is pissed off and it's trying to kill you. My strategy is I'm going to kill it first, cut it off, and throw it away.
Yeah, that sounds...
That's what they do. She gets amputated from the knee down.
That sounds about right for that time. That definitely sounds about right. They're like, yeah, it's looking a bit black over there. Time to cut it off because we don't know how to deal with necrosity? Dead flesh. We don't know how to deal with dead flesh, poison, and whatever else is in there. Yeah.
Later in her life, she would admit that while she was recovering in the hospital, her father had come to her in a dream and told her that she had to get through this because she had important work to do. So that's what she does. She makes a full recovery, gets a wooden prosthetic, learns how to walk again, and goes right back to trying to be an American diplomat. However, you gotta remember, she's a complete tomboy, and what's the first thing a dude does when he gets a new car?
That story about her dad is like, it kind of like warms my heart, because like, she cares, like, you can tell she was definitely daddy's girl in a non-lead way. Just because of the fact that she looked up to him and she's like, yeah, I gotta keep going. Like, my dad taught me better than that. I gotta push through. I gotta push through this shit. No time to waste.
A new set of wheels, a new gun. He always gives it a name, right? Right. Virginia named her wooden leg Cuthbert. So she goes back to work and continues trying to become a diplomat. However, now...
You guys name your stuff? Huh? You name your cars? Huh? Like, I can understand naming your gun, but your car? Your car? Huh? Huh. Okay. I mean, why not? Why not?
they have a legitimate reason to not let her become one. They don't need to lose her application. They don't need to give her the wrong dates and the wrong times anymore, because apparently there was a pre-established rule that amputees were not allowed to become diplomats. Why? I have no idea, but it turns out that Virginia has now both literally and figuratively shot herself in the foot.
Some of us name cars and refer to the cars as she. That's interesting because in my language, right, car is we have gendered words, so car is female. So for me, it makes sense to refer to a car as a she due to that. Just as a random weird side note of languages.
Virginia, being the badass that she is, though, isn't about to take no for an answer, so she begins lobbying to have the rules changed altogether. She doesn't have much success. Fast forward 1940, Germany invades France, and Virginia is like, fuck it, I'm gonna go be an ambulance driver and help out the French because I hate Nazis. And that's
She became an ambulance driver with 1 foot? Huh? You could do that? Can you do that now? That's insane. I'm here. You only need 1 foot to drive. Okay, fair, but I'm here with both my feet, and I'm still worried that I just won't see past the driver's wheel. So to each their own. Good for you, Virginia Hall. Good for you, you amazing woman, you.
Exactly what she does. Virginia, a 35-year-old woman that was physically unfit to be an American diplomat where she would have to sit in an office and talk to people, is now on her way to France to be an ambulance driver in an active war zone. So she's an ambulance driver all throughout the Battle of Paris, and she is one of, if not the first Americans to actually stand up and fight against the Nazis. After France falls, she has to flee, so she hops on a train and makes her way over to Spain. While she's at the train station, she meets a British intel officer, and she tells him her story. This guy is so impressed that he's like, hey, take this phone number, call my friend, he can probably help find you a job.
Oh my god, she got a job by pure coincidence of finding a random dude and getting to talk to him? As a spy? That's a badass story, but also damn. Damn. Luck was with her, I guess. Ish. I mean, I guess it was with her because she didn't die from the shotgun thing. It's not like you can find spy jobs on LinkedIn. I mean, sure. It's not like they had LinkedIn back then, mind you. You called your car Lizzie? That's awesome, lovable.
Over in England, if that's where you want to go. So she calls a number looking for a job, and that number puts her in contact with a man by the name of Nicholas Boddington, one of the head guys of the newly formed British SOE. SOE standing for Special Operations Executive, which is just the new spin-off of Great Britain's Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, aka their equivalent of the CIA. So she talks to them, and they pretty much immediately want her to be a spy. She speaks German, she speaks French, she's lived in France, she understands the culture, and most importantly of all, she's an American. And this is important because that means she can use her actual American identity and all her real documentation to give to the Germans to get into France, posing as a journalist. Virginia immediately agrees and goes in.
Damn. That's interesting to think about how your nationality actually helps you bypass things and how you're viewed differently, and there's no suspicion cast over you because of that. Like, you're a quote-unquote third party. That is really cool. About the same as
learning everything there is to know
my
about
fridge neck,
or at least as much as she can in that amount of time. Fast forward 6 months later, mid-1941, Virginia Hall, the spy, gets dropped off in Vichy, France. Which, if you don't know, at this point in time,
it's very cute, by the way.
There's occupied France, and then there's unoccupied France, also referred to as Vichy France. Now, Vichy France is technically, supposedly free, but pretty much everybody knows that it's a puppet state for the Nazis at this point. And Hall's job is to go in there, posing as a journalist for the New York Post, build a spy network, and do anything she can to fuck with the Nazis. Okay, just so we're on the same page, this is
she has to build her own spy network. That is quite a task to give to someone that's literally first time on the job and it's her first thing. But also pretty badass that she was tasked with that. Damn.
isn't like the movies where she has like instructions to go meet with some guy that's her connection and she like integrates with this already existing spy network. No, she was the first spy to go in. She had to go in and build the network from scratch. They literally took Hall, a 35-year-old woman with a wooden leg, gave her some money and some cyanide pills in case she got caught, sent her into enemy-held territory and was like, fucking figure it out. So Hall shows up in Lyon, France, and she doesn't even have anywhere to stay. All the hotel rooms are full, all the houses are rented. So many people have been displaced from the war, there's nowhere for her to stay. So when she first gets to France, she ends up living with a bunch of nuns at first, and she like had a curfew, the whole 9 yards. Then after a couple weeks, she finally gets a hotel room, and that's where she sets up her headquarters and makes her first contact. She goes
She's okay, the nun thing makes sense, but she set up her operation base in a hotel room? Excuse you?
straight to the US Embassy and tries to get their help. And the head of the US Embassy is like, absolutely not, America's neutral, we want nothing to do with it. But the second in command of the American Embassy pulls her aside and he's like, yes, I'm willing to help. And this is really important because this is the only way she's going to be able to communicate with London. You see, because it's an embassy, they have a diplomatic bag, so it's going to be mail that's not being screened by the Nazis before it goes out. So if this guy's willing to slip her messages to London into the diplomatic bag, it's going to be the only way that she's going to be able to get communication outside of France. So she gets it done.
That is so weird. Like, you go to your embassy, to your country's people, and you reveal that you're a spy and you need them to send messages outside. That's so unrealistic and weird for today's time. But I do assume that it works because someone there at the embassy was just like, fuck the chain of command. I'm just like, I hate Nazis. We're just gonna help her. But like, it's so weird.
Establishes a connection. She now has a way to communicate with the outside world. On to the next order of business. Go see the gynecologist. Not for her, for the Nazis. You see, she has a two-pronged attack method that she's going to use to wreak havoc on the German ranks. Step A, recruit a gynecologist. Step B, recruit a brothel owner. All right, so here's the plan. She gets a gynecologist working with her by the name of Jean Rosette. And
I see where this one's going. Yes. That is a good plan, Virginia Hall. That is a good plan. This is going places, yeah.
A brothel owner by the name of Germaine Garand to start working with her. And the plan she works out is the brothel owner is going to send all of his employees to this particular gynecologist, and he's going to sort out the ones that do not have STDs and the ones that do have STDs, and he's not going to treat them, but he's going to give them a clean bill of health, and then the brothel owner is only going to let those ones sleep with the Nazis. So already Hall is establishing herself as a diabolical mastermind. I mean,
this is so evil and fucked up. Oh, on one side, I'm like, those poor women from the brothel, right? They're not getting treated and their condition is probably worse. And that's really screwy because you go to the doctor and they're telling you you're fine, right? And you're not fine. You're obviously not fine. But at the same time, despite the poor women being used, not that way, chat. Being used by Virginia, okay? It's a brilliant plan, man, to go give them STDs.
And she's conducting biological warfare, weapons of mass destruction, if you will. All the other spies are out here worried about...
Was that a common saying goodbye to your schnitzel?
Intercepting mail.
Did I read that right?
Messages, and she's over here destroying the German ranks from the inside out and making them enjoy it while she does it. And the scary part is she's just getting warmed up. You see, now she starts sending messages back to London through that diplomatic bag, asking for supply drops in the countryside, and she gets them. They're dropping off guns, explosives, and she's turning around giving that to these guerrilla fighters that are just doing anything they can to fight the Germans, and she's also getting money to bribe officials and heroin.
That insane. Like, not only do they trusted her enough that she is effective and doing stuff and believe her, right? Like, keep in mind, right? She's a woman still, and most people don't regard women as creatures beyond secretary level, right? They don't think they're capable. Not only did they think she's capable, they sent her guns, money, drugs, resources. Like, it's insane. Damn. Like, she really landed in a place where she was respected and then effective, right? Proving efficiency. That being said, they really did fuck with the Nazis. Damn.
Yeah, the second prong of her prostitute attack on the German ranks is that after the employees have already given the Germans an STD, they are then also going to attempt to get them addicted to heroin. I mean, the Germans get all this credit for developing a brilliant blitzkrieg tactic during World War II, which translates to lightning war. I'm going to go ahead with whatever authority I have, and I'm going to dub this the brothel krieg tactic in honor of Virginia Hall, because this is brilliant. So this keeps going for months and months, and she develops more and more connections and builds this enormous spy network that is officially given the code name Heckler. And every month, more and more spies are coming in, and she's helping them get set up, and these new spies know how to send wireless transmissions, so now there's other ways of getting messages outside of France, but the problem is these wireless transmissions can get tracked by the Nazis, and a lot of these new spies are getting caught that way. So then fast forward October 1941, all the other spies, there's like 12 other ones in the area right now, and they decide they're going to have a big meeting. Basically, they're coming up with an excuse to get together and have a party and actually talk about all the cool stuff they've been doing, which is a huge mistake for a spy. So Virginia...
Yeah, it's like, excuse me, you're a spy, you don't have time to be social, and getting together with absolutely every spy, that smells, first of all, like a setup, and second of all, like a huge train wreck in making. Cat, please move your butt. I can't see.
Avoids it. Sure enough, all 12 spies get busted and captured, and this was known as the Marseille Mousetrap, where the German Gestapo captured 12 spies all at once. They captured all the wireless operators, and again, Virginia is basically the only spy on the ground, and she is the only spy still capable of getting a message out to London. So she sends a message out to London basically saying that everybody else has been captured, nobody else is going to be able to communicate except for her. In addition to that, the German Gestapo also now know what she looks like and have drawings of her,
damn.
and they know that she walks with a limp, and they're starting to call her the Limping Lady. So she is effectively #1 on the Gestapo's most wanted list, and leading the Gestapo in Lyon at this point in time is Klaus Barbie, one of the most brutal Nazis of World War II.
Is his name really Barbie? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh man. I can't believe her entire network got destroyed by people wanting to get together and brag and doing it over. Like, it's movie level of dumb, man. It really is movie level of dumb.
And he is quoted as saying, "I would do anything to find that limping Canadian bitch," end quote. He believed that she had to be Canadian because he didn't think any American could speak French so fluently.
Buongiorno.
Makes
London
sense.
then responds by saying, "Hey, that's terrible, A, but also go ahead and flee, get out of the country, they're gonna find you. They know what you look like, they know that you walk with a limp, and every time you take a step with your hollow wooden leg, there is a distinct wood noise. They're gonna catch you." Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but to this, Virginia basically said, "Hold my leg and watch this shit." Rather than flee, she decided
hold my leg and watch this shit. I love the fact that he took hold my beer and adapted it to Virginia Hall. But yeah, it makes sense the fact that they thought it's Canadian because, yeah, they were like, well, Canada has French speakers and English speakers, so it's more likely to be from there. But that's a level of assumption that I don't think you should ever do as someone in power, especially when you're searching for someone. It's that type of assumption that just gets you fucked because you dismiss possibilities.
is that she's going to orchestrate a jailbreak of the other 12 spies that have been captured. But she's playing it on hardcore mode because the Germans know that they're looking for the limping lady, and every time she takes a step with her hollow wooden leg, it makes a wood noise. And then her plot armor activates and divine intervention kicks in because supplies into France are so low and so scarce that they're no longer getting rubber and leather to make shoes out of anymore, and people have to start carving their shoes out of wood, and all of a sudden everybody's walking around making wood noises, completely disguising her movements.
Wow! That dumb luck striking again, man. I wonder if it's luck or also like planned shortages at that point. Like, that is insane. Also, my tail activates when I smile, so the more I smile, the more it wags. Oh, that is absolutely insane.
So rather than fleeing the country, she tracks down the prison that the 12 spies are being held at, then finds somebody that works at the prison, convinces them to get her a roster of the prisoners, uses that to track down a different, completely unrelated prisoner's wife on the outside, befriend her, and convince her to help her. Virginia, not wanting to be seen herself because they know what she looks like, decides that she's going to have this other prisoner's wife start smuggling in supplies to the 12 spies and, by extent, this woman's husband. Like they're baking handcuff keys and screwdrivers into cakes and shit to smuggle these supplies in. And this goes so well that she decides she's really going to start showing off. She's going to try to smuggle in an entire wireless set into the prisoners. And the wireless set is like the size of a briefcase. So she gets a 7...
What are you supposed to be baking, man, to hide that? That is really showing off and being very ambitious. But I guess the only thing you can bake is a huge cake, right?
70-year-old priest that's a double amputee from World War I to smuggle this briefcase in by sitting on it in his wheelchair, and he ends up giving it to the other spies that actually know how to use the equipment. Here's the thing.
Are you kidding me? They didn't smuggle it in with baking. They put it on a wheelchair person, part of the chair. How? Just how did that make it past anyone, man? I guess you don't really look too closely. A lot of people, like... the thumbs down to people don't do their job well.
The spies on the inside needed a really big antenna to make this thing work, so they ran a wire from their cell into this, like, wireless setup outside across the yard and attached it to the boundary fence using the entire fence as an antenna, and somehow never got caught. So now the spies are transmitting messages from inside the prison directly to London. So fast forward like a month, Virginia has smuggled these guys everything they need to be able to break out from the inside, and once they get outside the boundary fence, she is going to be there to pick them up, get them to a safe house, and smuggle them out of the country. Everything is completely arranged. Then on the day of the jailbreak, Virginia makes sure that somebody else tries to smuggle in a bunch of booze to the prisoners, knowing that they would get caught and that the guards would end up drinking all the alcohol that night.
Ah, man. Classic. That is actually a classic. Good old coincidences and regular people just wanting a drink. Yeah. It really boils down to people not doing their job well and to thinking they deserve a little break and a little fun time.
Making it easier for the spies to slip away. Which is exactly what happens that night. All the guards are drinking, partying, having a good time, and while that's going on, the spies are utilizing the handcuff keys and all the tools Virginia smuggled in to escape. They run across the yard under the cover of night, scale the perimeter fence, and waiting there is Virginia, who immediately takes them to a safe house. They hide for 2 weeks straight while the entire Gestapo is searching everywhere for them.
You know, the funny part about this entire ordeal is the spies got caught because they wanted to party, and the spies got released because the guards wanted to party. All I'm hearing is partying is bad.
And then she smuggles them out of the country. Okay, fast forward a month. It's November 1942. She just staged that huge jailbreak. All the Germans are looking for her, and now the Gestapo has brought in an additional 500 men, all with the sole purpose of finding the limping lady. It is at this moment Virginia decides it's probably time to leave. But with 500 new Gestapo all looking for a woman with a limp, she can't take any of the normal ways out of the country, so the only method she has to escape
Can't
is to
she
take the
be a
Pyrenees
wheelchair?
Freedom Trail, a 50-mile hike through the Pyrenees Mountains to cross the border between France and Spain, and she has to do it in November in the coldest...
Are you fudging kidding me? Huh? How is that your solution? I mean, sure, no one's gonna look for a lady hiking when she's supposedly having a limp, but like, why can't you just wheelchair? That's the part that I don't get. Why can't you just disguise yourself in a wheelchair?
This winter for France in over 200 years. It is a 3 to 4 day hiking trail for people doing it for fun, not in the middle of winter, and Virginia manages to do it in 2 days with a wooden leg. During her hike, she was communicating with London via radio, not like secret spy radio, just normal radio transmissions. It wasn't going to blow her cover. She was already blown and she was leaving anyways, so it didn't really matter. And she would tell London that Cuthbert was giving her issues because I'm sure, as you can imagine, hiking with a wooden leg would get pretty tiresome after a while.
It would appear so, wouldn't it?
She used the transmission about her leg and they thought it's an actual person. Oh boy. Here we go again.
Which London, not knowing who Cuthbert was, responded by saying, if Cuthbert is giving you problems, have him eliminated.
Take him out.
Take him out.
So she crosses the border into Spain after 2 days, complete badass. She has escaped the Nazis, and 48 hours after she leaves Lyon, her entire hotel room gets ransacked because the Germans finally figured out who she was, and she had escaped just in the nick of time. And then she promptly gets arrested by Spanish authorities for illegal immigration. So then she has to get a message out to London, out to America. They finally come, bail her out. She goes back to London working with the SOE, and she's like, okay, well, cool, send me back in. And they're like, no, your cover's blown. You've done all you're gonna do. That's it for you. We're not going to let you do anything else as far as like actively working undercover goes. Again,
damn, that's like crazy. What the? She's like, oh, send me back in already.
Virginia Hall basically says, okay, well, peace out, nerds. I'm going to go work with the Americans. She goes over to America, goes to the OSS, the direct predecessor of the CIA, and is like, hey, I'm more experienced than any spy you guys have. Put me in, coach. To which the OSS is like, sure, why not? And they give her a shot. This time, Virginia makes sure that she takes a wireless transmitting class, though, so now she can also send the wireless transmitting signals. She doesn't want to be the only spy not able to, like last time. So she does that. She doesn't realize that she's going to have to...
This is like... Can you imagine just going like... Hey, so, I have a death wish, and they know who the fuck I am, but I still want to mess with them, so, can you show me how this thingy-majig over there works? What kind of, like, magical thingy I need to do to be able to communicate? And then send me in? Yeah, good. Cool.
Pretend to be a much older woman. This would help disguise her limp, and it would help change her face so that they didn't know what she looked like anymore. So she goes to a professional Hollywood makeup artist, learns how to do makeup to look like a really old woman, and then she goes to a dentist in London that grinds all her teeth down so she looks like she has terrible teeth like a French peasant would.
I think she didn't recruit the spies in the network, Exelian. I think those spies were sent afterwards, once she had an already established network. Potentially. That's what I assume anyway. Because it sounded like those 12 particular spies weren't the ones that she trained necessarily. Also, I also assume that perhaps those, even if those people were spies that she herself recruited, they might have had the technical know-how, like they might have had the background to know how to operate it, despite her not knowing that.
The OSS then sneaks her back into France on a PT boat and drops her off completely by herself again. And from there, she just starts doing it all over again. She develops a huge spy network again. This time, she's posing as an elderly milkmaid by day.
Here we go again. That's literally Virginia Hall.
And a spy master by night. At this point in time, the French resistance had all kinds of guerrilla fighters, but they were basically just running around blowing shit up, being as big of a nuisance as they possibly could, and weren't being strategic about it at all. So over the course of the next year and a half, Virginia set out to establish a chain of command and actually get them to work together and coordinate attacks and efforts. By 1944, she had amassed an entire army. She had 3 battalions, 1,500 guerrilla fighters that she was coordinating attacks against the Germans with from the inside, all while transmitting signals to the Americans to have them drop off supplies like guns and explosives to continue fighting with.
That is absolutely crazy. Hi, welcome. That is crazy. It's like her network is even bigger now, and she is dabbling in guerrilla warfare. Is that the English term? The proper English term? She's doing skirmishes at this point and being, I don't want to say puppeteer. I guess more like a chess master. He's just playing with on the board, moving pawns everywhere, and like, what the heck?
She would then be notified that in June of 1944, D-Day was going to happen, and in the weeks leading up to it, she used her guerrilla army to coordinate and sabotage major highways, railroads, communication lines, and bridges, preventing the Germans from reinforcing the right beaches in a timely fashion, potentially changing the entire course of D-Day. And somewhere around this time frame, the OSS would send in a reinforcement to help Virginia out, a young Polish operative by the name of Paul Giat. He parachuted into theater, too late to have any real influence on the operation.
What is with the names? First we had Barbie, and now we have Giat. I can't. I can't with the bloody names, man. That just no. No.
But him and Virginia would end up falling in love. After the war, they would both move back home to America, where Paul would get his citizenship, and they would both begin their careers working for the newly found CIA. They would then go on to lead a specialized task force monitoring communism in the Eastern Bloc of Europe.
Aww.
Yeah, this incredible story literally ends with 2 spies falling in love and going out on missions together. In 1945, President Truman wanted to give Virginia the Distinguished Service Cross, the highest honor a civilian could receive.
Aww. Yes, Shav, they fell in love. Can you believe it? He's so starstruck that he's running on the wheel.
Because technically spies weren't in the military, so they're ineligible for the Medal of Honor. But President Truman wanted to give this to her in a humongous ceremony, tell her story, and make her basically an international hero and celebrity. Virginia, however, declined that offer because
also
she didn't
put the
want
target on her back.
She still wanted to be operational and capable of helping the United States and the world if she was needed. She became the only female civilian of World War II to be awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, and was awarded to her by General William Donovan, and by her own request, it was awarded in front of only one witness, her mom. Her future.
That I would have thought it's in front of her husband. Her mom? It's kind of funny because we started this entire story with her mom wanting to marry her off for business purposes and be shocked at everything. So it's kind of funny to see that. It's like, up yours, mom. You know what? I don't listen to you. Look at where I'm at now. But also it screams of wanting approval from her mom.
Future husband and fiance Paul wasn't there because she didn't think her mother would approve. This woman was behind.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, she still wanted to impress her mom, not disappoint her mom, and keep up appearance. Oh man, that is so. Yes.
Enemy lines fighting against the Nazis for all of World War II, the entire thing, longer than probably any other American, and she's still scared of the opinions of mom. And that's it. Virginia and Paul would live happily ever after. They retired at 60 years old, and Virginia would pass away at the age of 76 in 1982. And nobody knew anything about this until they read her obituary. She never gave an interview. She never wrote a memoir. She never said a single thing. And later in life, when she was asked why she never talked about it, she said, and I quote, "Too many of my friends died for talking too much."
That is so true. Like, you don't talk about your accomplishments, man. Not when you're a spy. That just puts a target on your bloody back. I have respect for her, and, you know, there's nothing that screams more like, I respect my parents and I'm terrified of them, than what she did with her mom there.
Which I think we can all agree is gangster as fuck. So, in conclusion, this
She's
is the
really
story of
cool.
Virginia Hall, the deadliest spy of World War II.
She is
Thank
really
you for
cool.
watching. Best
I
ways
really
to
enjoyed
channel
this
us some
video.
merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang.
Oh, his storytelling is on point as
The fact
always.
that people know and care more about Kim Kardashian over Virginia Hall is going to piss me off probably for the rest of forever.
Well, if it makes anyone happy, I don't know jack shit about the Kardashians. And I know about Virginia Hall now, so, at least one person in the world. I'll take, I would say that's a win to the fat electrician on that one. But yeah, really good video. I had a lot of fun. Very enjoyable storytelling. And, yeah, it was pretty badass. Meow! Ah.